My desk is really messy. In fact, my whole room is pretty messy. I should probably clean this weekend. So The Walking Dead Season 4 finished this past weekend, and I think it's the best season they've put out yet. A couple of my first vlogs back in December were about The Walking Dead, though it doesn't really seem like a lot of people who watch this channel were interested in them. I'm still going to do a vlog on it regardless, obviously, but if you are interested in The Walking Dead and you haven't seen it yet, close out of this video because I'm going to talk about a lot of spoilers. First, I'll tell you my thoughts on the first 3 seasons. The first season I actually started watching when it first came out, it's just that the first episode, when I watched it, I thought it was a ripoff of 28 Days Later. Though I'm not sure if the opposite is true because I'm not sure if the movie came out first or the comic came out first. I just found the way each began to be very similar. The first season did keep me invested, though it was pretty overall. Though I do love the way they begin and end each episode. It always baits me into watching the next one. And they especially did that a lot in Season 2. Though in Season 2 we were always at Herschel's farm and not a lot happened, though I did start to hate characters during Season 2. Especially Shane and Andrea. Or was it Andrea? I can't remember how they pronounced it in the show. I know we were supposed to hate Shane, but Andrea, I feel like I just don't like her, and like a lot of people do like her, but I don't. And I'm kind of glad she's dead. I just did not like her personality. In Season 3, much more happened, though we were still stuck in one location with the prison. Though not really, since we saw the new location of Woodbury that was governed by the governor, who was pretty badass. And there was a lot more of man versus man than man versus zombie. Then eventually Woodbury fell, and we lead into Season 4. Just a reminder, if you kept watching despite the spoiler warning, here's another. I'm going to spoil Season 4 for you, so if you don't want that spoiled, close the video now. So Season 4, stuff happened. There was a flu outbreak in the prison, and that causes problems because people die, and when people die, that's a problem. That eventually leads Carol to killing people for the good of the whole population. Unfortunately, the people she killed were very close to Tyrese, so for the safety of Carol, Rick banishes her. We also followed the governor after what happened in Season 3, and he eventually meets up with this other group, and takes over their whole camp, and decides he wants to ransack the prison and destroy everything. And after the battle, our group of characters that we've been following disperse. So after the mid-season finale, we get these episodes that focus on these little subgroups. It's Rick and Carl with Michonne, Daryl and Beth, Glenn and another girl who I forgot her name, who was a part of the governor's group, Maggie with Bob and Sasha, Tyrese with a couple of little girls from the prison, as well as Judith, and they eventually meet up with Carol. Which that causes a lot of tension in the audience, since they know what happened. Overall, this season had a lot of episodes that focused on character development, as well as learning about the past of these characters. And we also explore Rick and Carl's relationship a lot more. Because if you remember in Season 3, Carl shot a guy who was defenseless, and Rick doesn't want to raise him that way. In the episode this past weekend, we get a flashback of when Herschel was talking to Rick about how he's raising Carl. And by the way, Herschel's dead now. That's very sad, because Herschel was a great guy. I think the second half of the season is definitely the stronger half, since we get to focus on these characters a bit more closely, and we learn what their exact motives are, and exactly what they care about. And when the characters eventually do meet up again, it's like they're really family, and they just feel relieved to meet up with someone they know. It's like being in a class that you don't know anybody in, and then having another class that all your friends are in. A very crude comparison, but you get the idea. Overall, I think Season 4 has been the best, and I really can't wait for Season 5. That cliffhanger is going to hang for a long time. Does that even make any sense? Anyway, see you next time!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, by now we're getting a bit used to winter. We're like soldiers in the middle of a campaign.